On my decision, all salvation rests. On my decision, all salvation rests. Father, your trust in me has been so great I must be worthy. You created me and know me as I am, and yet you placed your Son's salvation in my hands, and let it rest on my decisions. I must be beloved of you indeed, and I must be steadfast in holiness as well, that you would give your Son to me in certainty that he is safe, who still is part of you, and yet is mine because he is myself. On my decision, all salvation rests. On my decision, all salvation rests. And so again today we pause to think how much our Father loves us, and how dear his Son, created in his love, remains to him whose love is made complete, complete in him. On my decision, all salvation rests. On my decision, all salvation rests. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today in studying A Course in Miracles. We're ready for Lesson 238 from the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles for August the 26th of 2026. And I'm Forgiveness Willie, teaching forgiveness from my home place here in the Ozarks. And I'm doing this recording the Sunday before this Wednesday that is for our Lesson 238. And last night we got home and our mama cat had left this world. So feeling a little bit, a little quieter today, just kind of, I guess a lot of people call it grief. I'm not sure that's the best word for us to use anymore, because we're realizing that there is no death. Life is a continuum. But there is a certain reverence that when someone crosses, even if it's just a cat, or a white cat, her name was Angel, or her name is Angel, maybe we should say. Anyway, on my decision, all salvation rests. The idea that you have the power of choice and that you can decide that you want to follow divine guidance or your ego. If you feel following your ego, just don't do anything and just make reasons for doing whatever you do. But if you follow divine guidance, just be still and quiet and listen to the voice within. Be quick to practice forgiveness. What is salvation? Back a few pages, on page 407. What is salvation? Salvation is a promise made by God that you would find your way to Him at last. It cannot but be kept, it guarantees that time will have an end. And all the thoughts that have been born in time will end as well. God's word is given every mind which thinks that it has separate thoughts, and will replace these thoughts of conflict with the thought of peace. The thought of peace was given to God's Son the instant that his mind had thought of war. There was no need for such a thought before, for peace was given. For peace was given without opposite and merely was. But when the mind is split, there is a need of healing. So the thought that has the power to heal the split became a part of every fragment of the mind that still was one. But still was one, but failed to recognize its oneness. Now it did not know itself and thought its own identity was lost. Salvation is undoing in the sense that it does nothing, failing to support the world of dreams and malice. Thus it lets illusions go. By not supporting them, it merely lets them quietly go down. Lets them quietly go down to dust. And what they hid is now revealed and altered to the holy name of God, whereon his word is written with the gifts of your forgiveness. With the gifts of your forgiveness laid before it, and the memory of God not far behind. Let us come daily to this holy place and spend a while together. Here we share our final dream. It is a dream in which there is no sorrow, for it holds a hint of all the glory given us by God. The grass is pushing through the soil, the trees are budding now, and birds have come to live within their branches. Earth is being born again in new perspective. Night has gone and we have come together in the light. From here we give salvation to the world, for it is here salvation was received. The song of fire rejoicing is the call to all the world. The call to all the world that freedom is returned, that time is almost over. And God's Son has but an instant more to wait until his Father's remembered. Until his Father is remembered, dreams are done. Eternity has shined away the world, and only heaven now exists at all. Heaven only now exists at all. What is salvation? Salvation is a promise made by God that you would find your way to him at last. Salvation is a promise made by God that you would find your way to him at last. Salvation is a promise made by God that you would find your way to him at last. Salvation is a promise made by God that you would find your way to Him at last. On my decision, all salvation rests. Well, we're supposed to do our 2 longer quiet meditations today for as long as you'd like, whatever makes you happy. I generally, if I'm, some days I just set many days, I set my clock in the morning for 15 minutes and again in the evening for 15 minutes. And a lot of times if there's no one doing anything, when it beeps, at least I know I got my 15 minutes in morning, evening. That's what I consider a minimum for me. And then after that, I'll click it off, and a lot of times I'll just stay in the silence, and I don't use a clock after that. Anybody needs me, I'm available again. But if not, a lot of times will stay quite a long time. Anyway, that's what seems to be working for me. I'll just share it so in case it works for you. Okay, well, and then every hour today, tell yourself, on my decision, all salvation rests. He wants us to kind of bring that to our memory every hour, but the most important thing is just to abide in that idea and give God thanks on those hourly remembrances, and tell yourself in between the hours, at the top of each hour, you can tell yourself, on my decision, all salvation rests, and then throughout the hour, remind yourself, am I applying that to everything I'm doing right now? Am I asking God for guidance? Am I listening to the Holy Spirit's voice? Am I at peace? Am I thankful? Those are the things that we want to have our life hover around, those ideas. Following your passion, following what makes you happy. Remember, we're not following the path of sacrifice. We get to do exactly what we want to do. And that's what we're supposed to learn to do. That might even be foreign to a lot of us. Do whatever I want. Well, that ain't going to be any good for anybody. Yes, it is, because you were created in the image of God. And so you are a God being doing your work on planet Earth. Okay, well, let's go back and look at our text reading for today. And we're in chapter 26, the transition, Roman numeral 4, where sin has left. And as you're turning there, if you're reading through the original edition with me this year, read chapter 26, Roman numeral 5, which will be the same reading that we'll be reading in 4 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version. It was a little more edited, but the last part of the book was not really edited much. It was really the first half that things were changed around a lot and things were deleted in the Foundation for Inner Peace version. Things that they thought were maybe not necessary for everybody to pick up. That's why I like to look at the Foundation for Inner Peace version as the primer version. It's like got the basics of what you really want to know, the Foundation for Inner Peace version. And then if you want to study a little deeper and learn a little bit more about some things about Edgar Cayce or Freud, well, then you read the original edition and other things. There's several things that Helen decided later that maybe didn't need to be in the finished manuscript, and she edited them out. Okay, and then in 1 John chapter 3, if you're reading through the Bible with me, in Iyengar Yoga, we are on page 338, and it's for mental fatigue. And then out of A Course of Love, in the 40 Days and 40 Nights, day 12, the spacious self joined in relationship, page 561 and 562, where sin has left. And before I read it, let me just say again, on my decision, all salvation rests. Oh, and our word for peace today, we're going to take it from the Faroese people of the Faroe Islands. There's 18 islands there in the North Atlantic. And their word for peace is Fridur. Fridur be with you. Fridur. Okay, let's see. Where sin has left. Forgiveness is this world's equivalent of heaven's justice. Forgiveness is the equivalent to heaven's justice. Remember, heaven's justice sees no one as special, has no respecter of persons, loves everyone completely. Well, that's true justice. It doesn't condemn anyone. But forgiveness is this world's equivalent of heaven's justice. It translates the world of sin into a simple world where justice can be reflected from beyond the gate behind which total lack of limits lies. Behind the gate of heaven, where the total lack of limits lies. Anything you need to do, you can do. That's where creation is. So, it translates the world of sin into a simple world where justice can be reflected from beyond the gate, can I add the word of heaven, behind which total lack of limits lies. Nothing in boundless love could need forgiveness. And what is charity within the world gives way to simple justice past the gates, or past the gate that opens into heaven. What is charity, or love? What is charity within the world gives way to simple justice past the gate that opens into heaven. No one forgives unless he has believed in sin and still believes that he has much to be forgiven. Forgiveness thus becomes the means by which he learns he has done nothing to forgive. Forgiveness always rests upon the one who offers it until he sees himself as needing forgiveness no more. And thus is he returned to his real function of creating, which his forgiveness offers him again. And remember, when you're forgiving your brother or sister, you're really forgiving yourself, because there's just one of us. That's why we're learning to forgive ourselves in the perception of others, until we come into what's he say it? The function of creating, which is beyond. First you have to get your forgiveness complete. Paragraph 2. Forgiveness turns the world of sin into a world of glory, wonderful to see. Each flower shines in light, and every bird sings of the joy of heaven. There is no sadness, and there is no parting here, for everything is totally forgiven. Wow, no parting. Can't leave. Even if your cat leaves, there's no parting. There is no sadness, and there is no parting here, for everything is totally forgiven. And what has been forgiven must join, for nothing stands between to keep them separate and apart. The sinless must perceive that they are one, for nothing stands between to push the other off. And in the space that sin left vacant, do they join as one, in gladness recognizing what is part of them has not been kept apart and separate. Paragraph 3. The holy place on which you stand is but the space that sin has left. And here you see the face of Christ arising in its place. Who could behold the face of Christ and not recall his Father as he really is? Who could fear love and stand upon the ground where sin has left a place for heaven's altar to rise and tower far above the world and reach beyond the universe to touch the heart of all creation? What is heaven but a song of gratitude and love and praise by everything created to the source of its creation? The holiest of altars is set where once sin was believed to be, and here does every light of heaven come to be rekindled and increased in joy. For here is what was lost restored to them, and all their radiance made whole again. Paragraph 4. Forgiveness brings no little miracle to lay before the gate of heaven. Here the Son of God himself comes to receive each gift that brings him nearer to his home. Not one is lost, and none is cherished more than any other. Each reminds him of his Father's love as surely as the rest, and each one teaches him that what he feared he loved the most, and each one teaches him that what he feared he loves the most. What but a miracle could change his mind, so that he understands that love cannot be feared? What other miracle is there but this? And what else need there be to make the space between you disappear? The space between us disappear. That, that I'm here, you're there. But that space is an imagination. There is no space. It's more like one cell in the body and another cell in the body, and without them you don't have the body. So there is no separation. Easy to think of in the sense of the biological cells. It's the same idea. We're all one body in God. Paragraph 5. Where sin once was perceived, will rise a world that will become an altar to the truth, and you will join the lights of heaven there and sing their song of gratitude and praise. And as they come to you to be complete, so will you go with them. For no one hears the song of heaven and remains without a voice that adds its power to the song and makes it sweeter still. And each one joins the singing at the altar that was raised within the tiny spot that sin proclaimed to be its own. And what was tiny then has soared into a magnitude of song in which the universe has joined with but a single voice. And the last paragraph, 6. This tiny spot of sin that stands between you and your brother still is holding back the happy opening of heaven's gate. A tiny spot of sin holding back the happy opening of heaven's gate. How little is the hindrance that withholds the wealth of heaven from you, and how great will be the joy in heaven when you join the mighty chorus in the love of God. Well, let's join that mighty chorus in the love of God as we tell ourselves all through the day today, on my decision, all salvation rests. I have the power to decide to enter heaven or to enter hell. Well, let's not just do it unconsciously. Let's don't forget. Let's remember to do it. Let's all, on my decision, all salvation rests. Okay, what's going on around the world today? Maulid al-Nabi still is going on. Islamic celebration for the birth of Muhammad, blessed be his name. Today's the final day of Theravanam, also known as Onam finale for Hindus. And the Ghost Festival, the Olambana, for the Buddhists and the Taoists, it also is still going on. I think maybe it's the last day of it too. Honor deceased ancestors, or the Hungry Ghost Festival. Anyway, honoring your ancestors, those that have crossed. Remembering that there is no death. Congressional Startup Day. Make your own luck day. Instead of luck, let's just realize that it's all a matter of reality, of principles. And instead of being filled with luck, we're filled with the blessing of God always. Let's choose it. On my decision, all salvation rests. On my decision, all happiness rests. You want to see a world and you want to see a self that's filled with happiness? Well, that's your decision to see. Always come into every moment of perception with that Bashar saying, good day. Congressional Startup Day. Oh, yeah, I just said that. Musical Yoga Day. Doing some yoga with music. Awesome. Cherry Popsicle Day. The Prunus avium is the sweet cherry, and the Prunus cerasus is the sour cherry. Of course, you add a lot of sugar or honey or something sweet, and you can make those sour cherries into a really nice pie with a lot of pizzazz. Dog Day, hot August day. I've been looking at all these holes my dog's been digging all around me, trying to cool off. Toilet Paper Day. Makes me think of Mullen. That's a camper's toilet paper. Hardier and stronger and softer than than toilet paper. Webmistress Day. We got webmasters. We got a webmistress day. Willing to lend a hand day. And that brings it, willing to lend a hand. Ought to always be willing to help others. Women's Equality Day and World Tug of War Day. And everlasting, number 143. I think I said 33 yesterday. It's 143. Nephalium polycephalum, the annual herb that's an astringent, diaphoretic, a febrifuge, pectoral, and a vermifuge. Externally, it makes a good fomentation for bruises. Just make a tea and soak your wash rag and hold it on the bruised area. Dried flowers are used for a calming pillow, that nice aroma. May have some anodyne properties. So it didn't say that in the list of its qualities, but pain reliever, an anodyne. An infusion good as a gargle or a mouthwash for mouth and throat sores. And then the sweet bay laurel in edible landscaping. And it says that, and it's a Laurus nobilis. And it says of the sweet bay laurel, the traditional bay leaf so essential to European cuisine, slow-growing bush with aromatic leaves, good shrub for warm areas, good for pots, space outside in 8-foot circles, but only in zone 7B and 8. But it'll grow good in a pot, bring it in the cool part of the year. Okay, well, let's close with our song and our word for peace again from the Faroe Islands. Fridur. Fridur for peace. Fridur be with you. Fridur. Okay, you know what? I got to get my book set up. I didn't even have it set up. Sorry about that. Give me just a second here. I think we've got enough time to close with our song, but I've got to have my words up in front of me. And let's see if I can get it set up to where it doesn't blow. I'm taking too long to do this portion, and I've apologized for that before, and I'm apologizing again. I don't have a good printer right now, though. Well, maybe I do. I'm going to have to see if I can get this printed so it's just on my clipboard. On my decision, all salvation rests. Father, your trust in me has been so great. Has been so great, I must be worthy. You created me. You created me and know me as I am. Know me as I am. And yet you placed your Son's salvation in my hands. And let it rest on my decision. Let it rest on my decision. I must be beloved of you indeed. And I must be steadfast in holiness as well. That you would give your Son to me, and certainty that he is safe. That he is safe, who still is part of you and yet is mine because he is myself. And so again today we pause to think how much our Father loves us, and how dear his Son, created by his love, remains to him. Remains to him whose love is made complete in him. On my decision, all salvation rests. On my decision, on my decision, all salvation rests. On our decision, all salvation rests. On my decision, all salvation rests. And from the Faroe Islands, Fridur. On my decision, all salvation rests. Fridur.